I've got a cool little pattern for you today, and little being the key word. This one is fly number 10 of 21 from Mike Valla's Tying the Founding Flies. The pattern is the JASSID, created by the Dean of the Letort, Vince Marinaro of Pennsylvania. And he first wrote about it in his 1950 book, A Modern Dry Fly Code. Now this is one book I did not have, but I found a used copy of it on Thrift Books for about $12, so I'll let you know in a few weeks what I think about it. And Ed Shank also wrote about it in a June 1968 article in Field and Stream, which did help further popularize the pattern outside of Pennsylvania. So the JASSID, it's a terrestrial, a leafhopper imitation that Marinaro created to fish on Letort Spring Run. And the cool thing about this pattern and these bugs is that you can fish them really tiny. Sizes for this thing are 16 to 32. Yeah, you heard that right, 32. Now, I don't know anybody who can tie down to a 32 or who fishes that, but apparently some folks do. And another cool thing about this is that when your jungle cock cape is getting pretty scraggly and all your good-sized nails are getting, split, you might have a few down at the small size, and these are just perfect for flies like this. And the fly itself, with only two materials, one of these nails and a little bit of black hackle, is a very light pattern, really easy to cast, and with the right tippet can be fished on smooth as glass water. So there it is in the vise, Vince Marinaro's JASSID. Now, Valla recommended this in size 16 to 32, so it is tied pretty small. That's a size 20, which is about as small as I go. There's your dime for reference. 20 is still a pretty small fly. So let's get this affixed in here, and you'll find if you tie mini flies down this small, you do have to get a pretty good bite in your vise, or they will pop out, spring across the room. Now, I didn't have to really step my thread down because I use this 52 denier a lot. This is from the Fly Smith. And Marinaro did recommend using an orange. This is a barbless standard length, size 20 dry fly hook. So orange thread. If you don't have orange, black is really going to be just fine because you're not going to see a whole lot of this body anyway. And that's spreading on me, so if that happens, just give a clockwise spin, maybe take another couple of wraps, and now my thread is, it's a little tighter. Let's make it a little bit tighter than that. Okay. Yeah, that's not much tighter, but we're gonna make it work. Now for the black hackle that we're going to palmer up it, and this is probably the hardest part of the fly. Take the smallest dry fly hackle you have, and then try to strip all the barbs off of one side, or for about an inch or an inch and a half. So I've done that there, and I need to spin this thread clockwise again as it is spreading out on me. I love that about this thread, but sometimes it makes catching in material a little bit harder. So okay, with our thread in the back, fairly corded up, I'm going to do a loose wrap right here, and a second loose wrap. I'm going to try to position this feather so that when I wrap it, the side that does not have the barbs is going to hit the hook first. And I'm going to leave that stem in there and just wrap it on up to give my body a little bit more bulk. Okay, let's go ahead and snip this excess. And what some folks will do, what Valla mentioned in the book, is put a couple layers if you want to thicken the body up. I kind of thickened it up with that hackle stem, so I think we're all right, and that body is pretty much thick enough. Now this feather is only about not even 2 inches long, so I'm going to use my spring-loaded hackle pliers here and grab it, and we're going to palmer this up. Try to take care so that you're wrapping with the side with no barbs toward the hook, and we're just going to put very sparse, so maybe 5 wraps will get us up there. Okay, that's 5. Let's go ahead and catch this off. I'm going to spin my thread clockwise again to just cord it up. I'll do 2 wraps and then snip this excess. And now maybe a couple more wraps just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere on me. Now this step is optional. Snip the barbs along the top. So I'm opening my scissors just a little bit to get in here and create a little flat spot where we can put our jungle cock nail. See that? It's a little flatter up there, not terribly though. And now I'm going to take one of these jungle cock nails, one of the ones that's closest to the neck of the bird, so it's pretty small. I'm going to lay it out here just a little bit past the bend of the hook, and I'll do 2 wraps right here, and then let's make sure that is still on top. I'm getting a little bit close to my eye up there, but that's going to be okay. So we want this laying pretty flat. That's why we trim those hackle barbs right there. And that's pretty flat. That's about as flat as I want it, so I'm fine with that. You can always take a few wraps going back, which might help lay it down a little flatter right here. Okay, so that's a little flatter. That's the view from the fish. Now we just need to snip this excess and see what we need to do to clean up our head. So I'm going to cord my thread up just a little bit more and put a few wraps right here. And then maybe a 4-turn whip finish. Now one thing you can do during the cleanup is just trim some of those barbs along the bottom so it'll sit a little bit lower. I think that's optional and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put a drop of head cement on it and call it done. So that's it, my friends. Vince Marinaro's JASSID. Pretty cool pattern and a pretty fun one to tie. So I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care and we'll see you next time.